Primordial Radio.
Devin Townsend, that was phenomenal. How long have you been doing Jular acoustic? I haven't seen that before.
Since last night. Yeah, we started it last night. Well, I guess I've done it a couple of times, but I mean, I guess in an optimal situation, you're in a seated theater where the nuances are able to come out a little bit more. But in this particular situation, I think loud is the only thing that's going to come across, so it seemed like an appropriate move.
How do you decide what you want to do acoustic? Do you figure out if you can do it acoustic? Because let's be honest, you're not going to do Genesis acoustic.
You could. I think you could do anything acoustically. I just don't know if it would be good. But I think that it's. I'm willing to take that risk. Like last night, we were in Holmesfirth. And
the Picture Drum, yeah?
Yeah.
It's a beautiful
venue.
It
is a beautiful venue.
It's so nice.
It's a beautiful area.
In God's country, Yorkshire, by the way.
Oh, this is what I've heard. Yes, from people who claim it with the same sort of ferocity, too. Yeah.
All of us Yorkshire people, well, it's God's own country, the People's Republic of Yorkshire.
That's how I felt, actually, when I was talking about it. It's like, it's beautiful here. And they're like, it is. Like.
My theory is that Yorkshire is the Texas of Britain.
I had heard that Australia was the Texas of Britain, which made sense too.
Oh, that makes sense as well, yeah.
But I'll take that too. But I mean, what a beautiful area, really. And the venue was great, and the people were great. But in that environment where it's the nuance is going to come out more because there's people there specifically to hear you dick around on your acoustic guitar, right? So when I said, hey, does anybody have any requests? And they were requesting Detox or things like this. I realized last night that you can technically play any of these songs. They're just not going to be great. So I think that I'm happy to honor requests as long as there's no expectation of them being anything other than a fuck around, right?
How do you try and keep your shit together on the road? Because anybody who's, like, I've done it, lots of people in media have done it, but then you ask any tradies, you ask brickies, sparkies, plumbers,
sure.
Working away from home, the immediate thing is, oh, well, I'm going out to the pub once I finish work with my mates. Well, how do you keep your shit together on the road?
Well, at the risk of sounding like a hippie, because I really dislike the sort of commercialized spirituality thing, where it's like, well, all you have to do is be in the moment and all this shit, right? But
you got a really good voice for that.
Yeah, everybody breathe. About 10 years ago, I started going to silent retreats and doing meditation, and it's like, so morning and evening, meditation has become super important to me because, and not for the sake of like trying to pursue enlightenment, but because I think too much, and if I look at it in a real practical sense, it's like going to the gym for people who think too much. So to exercise that ability to like try and not suppress it, but to let it go, has been really important to me. And in the beginning, I was convinced I couldn't do it, but I heard one thing that helped me tremendously. They were like, well, the goal isn't to like meditate. The goal is to just sit there and do your best, and then 20 minutes later, get up and do your shit, as opposed to having it as a goal. Just have it like a practice of not overthinking. And I have to say, it has very tangibly helped me avoid several panic attacks, or nervous breakdowns. Maybe not nervous breakdowns, it's a little dramatic, but panic attacks for sure. When we were doing rehearsals, we had 4 days in, I think it was Manchester, but I had, over those 4 days, I had 18 baths.
So I'm 6'6", right?
Yeah. Oh,
and so
okay.
I don't get baths very often.
Yeah, fair enough.
But my girlfriend, she's got me into baths. It's like, get some salts in there and all that.
Totally.
Fabulous, isn't it?
It's amazing. We are no longer young metalheads, my friend.
No.
We're like, we should be doing cat-cow and having multiple Epsom salt baths.
Yes.
And have you tried meditation? It's really... But I mean, in the whole scheme of things, the pitfalls of the industry that we found ourselves in are many, and specifically for people who overthink or are very sensitive. It's like... Or insecure too, right? Which is really delightful. But it's
creative
like,
people, insecure, you think?
Right. Isn't that crazy?
Oh, weird.
But then you have a career that exacerbates that by saying it's okay for you to feel like your shit doesn't stink. Like, in fact, we're going to have a bunch of people that are going to like compound that for you by telling you that stuff that isn't that good that you've done is really good, right? And then we're going to follow that up with like 3 shit gigs, right? And then it's like, good luck. And so I think that, but the way that I found to sort of try and navigate that is like, if you don't listen to the praise or the criticism and just keep thinking about the music, because I do love the music. I love the music. I love that. It's like Gollum. But it's like, my precious, I love the music. I hate the music. I love the music. I hate the music. But I do. So if I keep thinking of the music and don't worry too much about either end of that spectrum and have a lot of baths. A lot of baths? It keeps me, thus far, I can't speak for the future, but thus far I feel like I'm reasonably balanced as a human.
I heard a thing the other day, and it was, don't accept criticism from someone you wouldn't go to for advice.
Oh, wow.
I would take your advice, so I will take your criticism. But if you wouldn't ask them, hey, what do you think I should do here? Then it's like, don't listen to that shit either.
Well, you know what's the people who are closest to me in my life have all been in my life for decades, right? And at a certain point, if those people you're not willing to listen to what they say when they tell you you're full of shit, then that's on you, right?
Yeah.
But like my wife, for example, I told somebody the other day, I don't think she's heard the last 5 records that I've made. She couldn't be fucked, right? But that's great. And so when and my friend as well, like I'll send him something and he'll always tell me the truth. And with that in mind, it's okay. I can handle it, right? And I think that's important too. If you surround yourself with people that will tell you the truth and you're willing to accept the truth from them as well, yeah, I think you're pretty good. It doesn't mean that they're right.
You got my dad's seal of approval.
Did I?
My dad's the reason I play guitar. He's been a guitarist. He plays in like a club band, an 80s club band at the moment, and he's phenomenal.
Yeah.
He's 67 years old. His main squeeze right now is a Dave Murray Stratocaster.
Yeah.
He's doing, but he's the reason I play music, and he's very musically inclined.
Amazing.
And this is the first one of the events that I've been part of that he's been to in like 12 years.
No, that's great.
And he's not familiar with Devin Townsend, the artist.
Yeah, sure.
And he was stood there going, how does he play that and sing and perform at the same time? You got my dad's seal of approval,
amazing.
man.
Well, I would, if that was an actual question posed to me, I'd say that I'm not good at much else. You know what I mean? So if your skill set is focused in one place, it's like your dad's probably can do other things. Maybe he can do electrical, or maybe he can do plumbing.
Yeah.
There you go. That's the reason I can't do it. In fact, we were putting moldings onto the baseboards, and you know when you get to the corners, you have to do a 45. Mm-hmm. My brain doesn't allow me to do that. So it doesn't mean that I don't do it. But every time, like I'm doing this, because there's something about, okay, so how do you cut it so when they join together? And I got this other guy that helps me out around the house, and he's like, oh, you know, I think it's cool that you're able to play guitar or whatever. And I'm like, yeah, but I can't
do that.
I can't do that. I won't stop trying, but it's like I'm not wired for that, right? So maybe it's like you find the way that you're wired and just like utilize that.
Yeah.
So okay, I can do this. I can kind of multitask within the parameters of one thing, but that's why I've got a lot invested in it working because the option is like limited, brother.
If we were doing like a Blabbermouth article now, that would be great for like Devin Townsend, great at performing, shit at DIY.
Yeah.
That's the headline. That's the headline.
Yeah, it's true.
Thank you very much.
It's
indeed,
such
man.
a pleasure, buddy.
Really appreciate it.
I'm glad to see that Dewsbury, the place, is where your name stemmed from.
Primordial Radio.